no one knew she was dead. And it's like, how many stories are there like that where people just haven't been checked on? They haven't been called just to say, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? And the Surgeon General just released a report, 80 pages. All these researchers came together saying it's not just older people, it's everyone right now in all age ranges that are feeling loneliness.
What's up, fam? This is Lamar Tyler, the creator and host of Traffic Sales and Profit Show, and I'm excited to have another episode with you, another amazing entrepreneur. We are joined today, right? Y'all lock in for this one. Christian Ross, you've seen her on HGTV. She's a celebrated an OG in these real estate streets, right? Expert broker, and also a tech founder behind something new called Happy Talks. Can we get all that today?
We can get all of it today.
All right, awesome. How you doing today, Christian?
I'm doing great.
All right, good to see you again.
Great to see you as well. Thank you.
And I'm excited because we've been having a lot of real estate conversations lately from all different angles. Only once have we had a broker come in from that angle. And I'm excited to ask you some questions around real estate from that point because I feel like you are the one, like, feet on the ground, working with, talking to, negotiating with, all the things, right?
All the things.
All the things, good and bad, to come with it, right?
Yes.
So it's things I want to ask you about that. But then I also want to get into how you begin to transition into the world of tech.
Yes.
And becoming a tech founder. I want to hear about, is that just like real estate? Is it nothing like real estate? Is it totally different? Is it better? Is it worse? All that type of stuff. But again, thank you for coming. I'm excited about today's conversation.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. And it's funny because, all those things I'm excited to talk about.
So let's jump, before we get going, I always like to ask people about their background. Mm-hmm. How did you become this power broker in real estate? Was real estate something you always interested in? Was something you kind of stumbled into? How did it happen?
So real estate was definitely not a path for me at all. I came here for college, went to Clark Atlanta, graduated, whoop, CAU, and, went out and just started working in media sales. I went to a program at Howard University right after I graduated, and it was a tough year recession-wise for the economy, and I was like, what am I going to do? But I also was accepted to that program when I first started my senior year. So it was great when everyone else was good. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I had this program to go to, and everyone the previous year had gotten hired. So, a bunch of us were hired out of that program. I got into media sales, started working it, and I was just like, this is so mundane. How many times can I give cost per point? How many times can I sell a radio station in Dallas, in New York? And so I was on the Infinity CBS team, on top 10 markets, and my neighbor Tom, was talking to me, and he said, hey.
Is Tom a real name?
Tom is a real name.
That sounds like that could have been like an alias.
It sounds kind of aliasy. It does sound aliasy.
Tom. Okay.
Tom is so real. Tom was like, hey, I got a friend. He has a real estate business. He does condo conversions. He's looking for an assistant. So, of course, I call my mom. My mom's like, you have a 401k. You have an Amex Platinum card. You've got, all these things. You can't leave. And I was like, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it?
Great point.
And so I did it, and I actually stumbled into my passion. And so that's what I thought was so great, was that I felt like I just led my path to be like, you need to be here. No more radio stuff. So that's how I got into real estate. And so I was on the commercial side coming in. And so I met my husband at there, and that was 18 years ago this year.
Wow.
So met my husband there, and we both quit together. We put our arms around our boss, and we were like, we love you, but we quit. No one had any idea we were dating. So that was another fun thing. But then I decided to get my license and actually go into residential.
Where's Tom at now? You ever talk to Tom?
I do talk to Tom.
Okay. I'm going to say Tom is responsible for your marriage. He's responsible for
Actually, he is.
You know what I'm saying? Like your career. Tom is tied in. Tom is invested in your future at this point.
He is. And I honestly don't want to give him credit for my marriage, because that will go to his head. Tom is actually about to open a restaurant in Conyers.
There we go.
Yeah. Tom is a serial entrepreneur. He used to have diamond parties. He's very outlandish. Very yeah.
Awesome. So, so you go in and you start as assistant.
Yeah.
And really just work your way.
Yeah, I started as an assistant. And my boss would call me at 3 a.m. I have an idea, Christian. I have an idea. And I'm like, who has an idea at 3 a.m. morning? They can't write down and talk about it at 8, whatever. But it was great. I learned such a great work ethic. He always told me when things were going on, he's like, well, get it done. What are you talking about? You don't have a response. Get it done. So there were many times I sat in a closing attorney's office. I sat in whoever's office and waited until I got the answer, waited until I got actual connecting with that person. And so he definitely taught me a different level of getting what you need and getting what you want and being persistent. Like, he was a great boss.
You know what I love about that is in today's age of social, everything is so, you should never work for nobody. It's crazy if you work for somebody.
Oh, God.
Like this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I always tell people so much of who I am as a leader today is from me being under leaders and watching them and watching like what happened when the stressful moments were happening and they said, hey, we'll get it done.
Right.
Now, when my stressful moments happen and the team looks to me, I say, hey, we'll get it done.
Yeah.
Right. But so much of it is from those moments of mentorship where it wasn't. A lot of times we think that mentorship has to be, you know, hey, Christian, I anoint you the mentee.
Right.
Come get this free blah, 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 blah. But you know, in that situation, there was a lot you learned circumstantial, you know, plus I'm sure like some other, you know, foundational structural pieces.
I mean, it was so interesting because I just remember one day, and actually it was a law office in Buckhead. And he was like, what do you mean we're not closing? I was like, we're not closing today. He was like, why? And I said, I mean, I think. And he's like, what do you mean I think? How do you not have the answer to this? And so like all of those things prepared me to be a leader, just like you said, prepared me to be a leader, prepared me for a different level of accountability and just a different level of understanding that sales, everything is relationships, and it's hand-to-hand combat. I don't care how much social media it is hand-to-hand combat. It is getting in your face, making sure you see my eyes. No, I'm not a serial killer. You know, understand that like I bring value and that it's filled with integrity. Like I'm not going to do something wrong.
You mentioned social, how do you stand out in a sea of social media where it's people that present themselves as one way? It's like, you know, how do you validate the people that, hey, I really am the expert. I really do know these things. Like what are some things that you do? I'm just curious.
I was about to say I don't. No, I mean, seriously, I feel like I'm very much, and it's funny too, I have such a base of clients that I've had for over the years that I have a strong referral business. But the people who do find me online, they're finding testimonials from clients. I just try to never make it about me. That's just not who I am. And I appreciate all the agents who are like that, who are, you know, who they're showcasing themselves. You have to showcase yourselves. I get that. But for me being in the business so long and remembering how it was done, that's just not my way. So if I go on, it's more so showing you who I am. And if you like me and you want to do business with me, then let's have a conversation.
I love it. I love it. So you and your husband together, right? Y'all leave. So y'all started a new business together? Or?
My husband hates real estate.
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't see him on the bio part.
No.
Okay, I was trying to connect the two.
He cannot stand real estate. And to this day, he's like, you're still doing this, huh? You're still doing this. But he had a background in IT. So he was there at the company and he was learning something new. He came in as IT and like our boss did, kind of just kept moving you to a different part. Whereas when I left dealing with investor relations. So I would deal with all of our investors as well as our banks. So helping cross-collateralize properties. Like I started off just making calls and ended up like managing developments. So with him being in IT, he went back. He was like, he liked the real estate part of doing expediting and helping with developments, but he was just like computers for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get there. How do you move from, okay, again, like I said, you started at the bottom of the industry, you move up, you gain all this experience to now being one of the leading brokers in Atlanta?
Giving. I mean, I think people are so busy. I don't want to say taking, but so busy thinking about what can I do to benefit myself? Like as soon as I actually became a realtor, as soon as I was like, okay, I'm leaving this position, had a year of real estate under my belt, became licensed, I went to our orientation and they talked about service. And I mean, that's just something that's been ingrained for me from my mother. Like she's service extraordinaire wherever she does. So I joined the government affairs committee because I actually thought I was going to be going into politics, not as a politician, but as like a media person for the politician.
Okay, gotcha.
So, went and just started serving on government affairs, really understanding how interconnected everything is with real estate. Our schools, we think about our kids. What's the ascension for them? It really starts with the zip code that they're born in.
That's true.
And so all of these things relate back to real estate, and we're also tied to 32 other industries. So the fact that the Fed keeps raising rates and not thinking about the fact of how we are actually affecting the rest of the economy, is just one of those things that I feel like it was another opportunity for me to learn and grow. And I was all in.
That's so true. When people ask me, where should they live in Atlanta? They tell me I'm moving to Atlanta. Which area should I be in? My first question is, you got kids?
Yeah.
because you ain't got kids, you got kids. Like where
right.
you live in Atlanta
It's different.
It's very different, right?
Very different.
It's two different lives, two different worlds out here, right? If you don't have kids,
true.
like you can just land anywhere, right?
Yeah.
You got kids, you better be very particular about, like you said, what zip code you're in.
Yeah.
Like what school your kids going to be zoned for.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you really dictate their life.
Yeah.
From those parts. Oh, this is so good.
It's so true. And it's like even the access, like right now I just think about like, how we're just going to see things widen with Black and brown ownership, home ownership. If prices keep going up, people keep saying, oh, Atlanta's too expensive. No, we've been so cheap for so long.
That's true.
Where have you been able to get a $300,000 big house in a major metropolitan area? You couldn't do that in New York. You couldn't do that in Miami. You couldn't do that in DC. Like, it just wasn't possible. So now I feel like we're now growing as a city. And so it's, but at the same time, how do we help either with lending or whatever programs that are to help people who might not have family behind them to help give a down payment or haven't had the opportunity to save because they're saddled with student loans?
I'm originally from DC area, and for so long.
Be more.
Okay, there we go. Went to Morgan State. All right. So for so long, when I moved down, people like, what's it like down there? And I would tell them, well, Atlanta's like entrepreneur utopia, right?
Yep.
And I say so many other things. When I moved down here, it was two things. The other thing besides entrepreneurs, which I knew I would find, I found a lot of stay-at-home parents. And as I tried to wrap my mind around why, because in DC area, you both had to be working, and y'all both better be making six. Y'all don't both make six figures, you in the hood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you been lock your stuff up, like covered up in a car, you getting broken into. It's gonna be some up and downs. But like the cost of living is so high. And what I realized is that this was such fertile ground for entrepreneurship and for raising families because you could live so affordably.
Yes.
Like, and it was really home ownership. Like, you could purchase a home, own a home on one income.
Yep.
And the one income didn't have to be $100,000, $150,000 a year.
Yeah.
But you could live a nice and a good life in a nice neighborhood, right?
Yes.
And when I realized that, I said, okay, it's a lot easier to be an entrepreneur when you don't have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 mortgage over your head.
Right.
That just to keep the lights on and a roof over my head, I got to clear $3,000 from the business before I do anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was something special about this place. But let me lean into, the broker side of you, right? And working with people. Should people be buying right now? Of course, I like to ask everybody that's on your side in real estate, because a lot of people, as I'm encouraging them to buy, saying, well, interest rate's too high. If I wish I would have bought a couple years ago, but now the price is too high. Should they buy now, or should they be waiting for prices and interest rates to go down?
So this is first of all, these were the rates when I got into the business. These were the interest rates. People are always buying, and that was still historically low. So what we've had over the past 10 years, that's like your mom and dad giving you candy every day, and then they take the candy away. You haven't eaten it, but they keep giving you the candy. You're like, oh, I got that Snickers over there. It's like Fed took away those rates, and we've had the fastest rate hike acceleration in history that happened last year. And it just shocked people because they're like, wait a minute, 4, 5, 6, 7? But the reality is that I just had a friend who called me and said, my landlord is going up on my rent $700 a month. So she's now buying because she was forced into that situation. Right. Like, you don't want someone else telling you that. But regardless of rate, I think it's a matter of what is in your financial ability. And I will always be a proponent of ownership. I have personally moved 8 times. I buy and sell every 2.5 years. Now, this last house, I'm done. I'm there, been there for 2 years. But I think it's a great time to buy because
If you're a 6 or 7-figure entrepreneur, a Black business owner, and you don't know where to go, if you feel like you're alone, if you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to that gets how you feel or gets the pressures of being a business owner in today's climate, guess what we do? I want to introduce you to the Traffic Sales and Profit Mastermind. Now, in the TSP Mastermind, we have a 12-month program that's going to help you reach your next 6, 7, or 8 figures in business over the course of a year. Now, along that year, we have one-on-one coaching, we have accountability, we have community, we have live events, and everything you need in order to reach the next level. For more information, visit us at www.trafficsalesandprofit.com.
because what's going to happen when rates do creep a little bit more back down? When they creep down, that means there's going to be more people who come to the market, which
Right.
means more competition, which means, again, elevated prices.
Yeah.
So it's like, take it.
And that's a great point. We were looking over the last couple of years, we were locked out of the market because the market was so hot.
Yeah.
It's like we were putting, like everybody else, putting contracts on stuff and couldn't get anything. And it wasn't until rates started to go back up that then we were actually able to get a bid in.
Right.
That actually was accepted.
Offered a window. And I mean, I was one of those brokers putting stuff in where I had a client, played professional football, and we put in for 2 Super Bowl tickets to, I mean, like, it was crazy. And we went 90,000 over asking. For the regular person, that's not possible. But, then I have clients who just financially well off who were like, okay, what do you have to do to win this? And I'm like, it's probably going to have to be 100,000 over. Okay, let's do it. And it was nothing. So I think a lot of people, they try to blame a boogeyman, but the reality is there's just people with means and situations that are able to get things done.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate when it locks people out, but it's just reality.
And again, it might be the reason why you need to take advantage of the opportunity now.
Yeah.
Right. Hoping that things slide down again, but if they slide down, everything heats up.
Yeah. And we're seeing multiple offer situations right now. Like, that's what people don't understand. Even with these rates.
That's interesting, right? Because one of the things I tell folks all the time is that people got money. Right? We always think
money, you're like, wait a minute, what? Oh, you.
We always think
too.
like everyone is doing so bad.
No.
And it ain't a recession for everybody.
No, it is
right?
not.
Like people got money out here. They're spending money out here still. Unemployment is still at record lows.
Yep.
So there's still money circulating in the marketplace.
Yes.
And money to be spent.
Yes.
So I guess that's good for sellers too, right? For people that's thinking about selling.
Yeah.
Because we ended up getting a place and selling a home. And when we were going to sell, I know, I heard other people that were saying, well, stuff's going to be on the market, stuff this and that. And I was like, I think our house is prepared. I think it's like ready. Yeah. Kitchen has been remodeled. Bathroom's been, it showed nice.
Yep.
And I think we might have been on the market 9 days.
Yeah.
In a good school system, boom.
Good school system and things done, like modernizations done that buyers know they don't have to walk in and do things. It's a done deal. Now, if you're sitting here with 1972 kitchen, we may have more days on the market. That's just is what it is. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So this stuff's so fascinating to me. All right. So with everything that you've done through real estate, I know you've also begun to make a shift towards becoming a tech founder.
Yes.
Right. So tell me about Age Tech, about Happy Talk, because this is just fascinating to me. Like what was it that made you make the shift? So first, I actually had an introduction to tech when I was brought on to be a broker at a firm that we had to exit in 2019. Mm-hmm. It was a prop tech company. So we had, developers that were working with us. Our goal was kind of to be Redfin-ish. That's what we were working on. And so it was great because I was able to see Sales Loft being built, Calendly being built in Atlanta Tech Village. I was open to a whole new world. I was learning about APIs and I'm like, what is going on? Like, it was just a whole new Did it feel like
world.
when you first learned about real estate again?
It did.
Because real estate is like a lot. It's probably exciting and tech could be the same way.
And so it was so interesting because this time around, I came in as a broker. Eventually I became co-founder. This time I was like, I called people over at ATV and I was just Atlanta Tech Village. I said, hey, I'm coming back. I'm building something. And they're like, oh, okay. Not that I had to call them to tell them. It's just,
He's like, put y'all on notice.
I'm like, just let you know. You're going to see my face in the building. But it was so great because I went back and it's that same energy, just like you talked about the entrepreneurship. Like that entrepreneurship energy in Atlanta is just, it's special.
Yeah,
Like
yes.
there's just nothing I feel like you can compare it to. San Francisco seems very fake to me. I mean, it's like, oh great, you can be in a coffee shop. Someone says, I'll fund you. Awesome. That's not Atlanta. So we do have to catch up on the capital side.
Yes.
This time around, that's what I'm learning the most is that the company before we were funded. We came in with money. I was able to hire someone around, that time. So then eventually with a staff of 10, 150 contractors, 4 offices. Now it's me find me and my money. And I'm like,
it's different.
It's
different when you use your money versus I got this little piggy bank over here to be pulling from.
It's so different because you're like, wait a minute. Well, do I do this now or do I do this later or do I do this like later or just like later a month from now? Everything is an extra decision, but the transition really came from my clients. I've been in business all this time. I'm sitting here and I am seeing the parents and grandparents living longer than ever.
Yes.
I'm helping them downsize, get a new home. I'm also the bad guy to them. I'm the person who's kicking them out of their house after 40 years. So I have to then gain that trust. And I just noticed that they want to talk. They're literally losing their community around them. They would talk to the mailman. Someone would take them to the store. They're losing this sense of community around them. And that just pained me. I was like, what can I do about this? And then my aunt has MS and it's gotten progressively worse over the pandemic, not being able to have the same therapies. And she's lonely. And I'm like, how can I employ my aunt? So looking at those two things together, I just went down a rabbit hole just doing research. And then I joined a program at Atlanta Tech Village called It Takes a Village. Great program for anyone thinking of going from ideation to a minimal viable product. Okay. And really started from there and just started talking to a bunch of potential customers.
Now, what is age? Is age tech like an actual category?
It is now. We're an actual category. It's tech that's in aging. And so that covers elder care, anything with elder care, if there's sensors or if it's aging in place with the home, the things you're going to do with Alexa or et cetera, any other things, sensors. So it's anything technology related that's related to aging.
All right. And now tell me specifically, Happy Talks.
Yes. So at Happy Talks, we are on a mission to curb loneliness. So
wow. I love that. I commend you on that part.
Thank you.
I just love the way that sounds and the feeling that evokes when you hear it.
Our seniors, we think about COVID and how so many people felt alone and like they were by themselves. Well, can you imagine a senior feels that every day? If they're not as mobile, if they don't have a car, or if they've just lost friends, how we felt during COVID is how they feel every day. And so our goal is that we put some buddies around them. We have curated social chats. We learn more about them. All of our buddies are background checked and we call them. And so they look forward to our calls. We call them once, twice, or 3 times a week. And then we have a platform that reports back to the families. So the families know who their loved one talked to. Again, they know their background check. They've been trained. We teach them about the sensitivities, political sensitivities, racial, ethnic. We had a phone call last night and it was like, oh, glad it's not all the people in that group, So, but our whole goal is just to help them feel seen and heard as they kind of feel like they're probably losing every day. They have a different ache, they have a different pain, they lose a friend. We want to just deliver joy every day to them.
So that's interesting. So tell me, the buddies, are the buddies older people? Are they younger people? Is it just any age?
It's a mix. We have our oldest right now is 82.
Okay, wow.
And our youngest right now actually isn't, I guess, so young. She's 40.
Okay.
But she's young. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's interesting. Because even as I said that and asked you the question, I think about it. I know older people love to talk to younger people. They love to, it's like different conversations they love having for different reasons. And that's interesting to me. And just the concept of it, of knowing that your loved ones are talking to people that are vetted.
Yeah.
I want to emphasize that part of what you said, because it makes me think about, a lot of times as me and my wife, as our parents get older, we know a lot of people out there to prey on older individuals, and that will, create not authentic relationships with them in order to gain access to their trust. So then they gain access to their bank accounts, their credit, their homes, and all different types of other things. That's something as our parents get older, we're always thinking about. So I love the fact you say, hey, think of these conversations, but it's people we actually vet through the process and then are monitoring those conversations as well, it sounds like.
And then the great thing is too, is that, we have the notes. So sometimes the families end up learning stuff about their their loved one, they're like, I had no idea he did that in the war. I had no idea this was the situation. But all of our calls are masked. So like our buddies never see the person they're talking to's information. All they know is their first name. So we are hyper vigilant on privacy and also to HIPAA, which is a healthcare standard,
Yes.
making sure that our platform is to that standard as well.
And let me ask you that. So you mentioned this then. So how do they, when they find out that, hey, you know, I didn't know that grandpa served in World War II and did these things, like how does that stuff get back? Is it that the buddy is sharing little bits and nuggets about it? Is it just like when it's reviewed?
Yeah. So after every call, we send a message back to the loved one. So it sits in our platform and also gets immediately text to them. Nobody wants to email. So the notes are text to them. So they just know like, hey, we talked about XYZ. And it's never anything that's divulging privacy of the older adults. So it's really just, you know, like last night, our conversation was the fact that D-Day was today and that person was a veteran. So, you know, we were just kind of talking about the numbers in the war and just sharing those moments. And then he said something about a submarine. I'm like, what is that? And so it's a lot of learning between both of us, I feel like, because he's asking me about AI and the Apple, you know, the Apple goggle thing that came out. I don't even know what to call it. Headset, I guess.
You need a buddy. You need a buddy that's versed in Apple's latest products.
Right.
So this, I'm just fascinated by this, right? Because you made me, you know, think of so many different things. Because I remember even as my grandparents got older, who they passed now, but as they got older, I was having conversations with them and unearthing things, like you said, that they never told my mother.
Yeah.
And I was learning things. And I often find, too, that a lot of times it's this weird thing between parents and their children to where they don't share certain things, but as they get older, they stop caring about what they share, or they start having these you know, thoughts and memories, right?
Yeah.
But like I would, you know, share with my mom, hey, yeah, you know, grandma said blah, blah, blah. And she like, what is that?
What?
I never heard that. Like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I got it. Don't do I got it on video, right?
Oh,
And
I love that so much.
And she's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. So I love the fact that y'all have the ability to unearth parts of, like I said, not even just their history, because if it's your parents, your grandparents, somebody in the family, it's really the family's history.
Yeah.
And being able to chronicle that and make it a part of now the legacy that's passed down, you know, generation.
For sure. And it's crazy too, because I just had a friend that was like, have you heard of grief tech? And I'm like, please stop. I want no parts of grief tech. But then he actually, when he broke it down to me, I was like, God, I guess we'll kind of be in grief tech too. Because the reality is, as we started doing this, you know, as an entrepreneur, you find out things as you scale. You know, you're like, oh, I didn't think about this before. So one of the things I didn't think about was how will this impact us when we lose someone?
Yes.
Not just the family, but how will it impact the person who's been talking to them? How do we love on them? How do we care for them? And because I just got misty-eyed thinking about losing the people I've talked to. And so I was thinking of like, maybe we can do some recordings from them from the conversations and give them to them
that was my next question. Because I think like that would be so transformational.
Yeah.
And so such a sacred gift.
Right.
Like you said, as you kind of, you know, move on beyond. Amazing. So what is your goal? Like what is the big goal as you set out? Like, where do you want Happy Talk to go?
The big goal for me is that we are international. The reality is a woman in Italy a year ago was found at her kitchen table. She had been dead for a year.
Wow.
No one knew she was dead. And it's like, how many stories are there like that where people just haven't been checked on? They haven't been called just to say, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? And the Surgeon General just released a report, 80 pages. All these researchers came together saying it's not just older people. It's everyone right now in all age ranges that are feeling loneliness. And that's fine. Everyone can deal with everyone else. I'm just dealing with the elders. So for us, it would be to help elders all across the world with loneliness and to just make them feel seen, heard, and then also just gift them experiences. Like, I can't wait to actually like be like Oprah for older people. Be like, you get a vacation, you know, or you get a day at the spa. I can't wait for that. That's gonna be
everybody needs a buddy. You get a buddy. You get a buddy.
Right.
You get a buddy. Right.
Everybody gets a buddy.
I love it. I love it. So congratulations
Thank you.
I know how hard it is to get something just from ideation to, like you said, that minimum viable product and getting it to the marketplace. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Also want to commend you on the heart behind what you do, because what you're doing is literally something that's going to transform families and transform, like I said, their lives and their loved ones. Like, even when their loved ones are no longer here, like I instantly saw the purpose in it. I saw the necessity of it, and just I just want to congratulate you for what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Like, we just love our members. They're super. They're just all sweet people. I feel like too we're attracting just really nice people, because we think about those conversations we may have to navigate around, but everyone's been very kind so far.
Okay, I have one last question about your platform. What do you need? Because we have some amazing people that watch the show. Just in case somebody's watching, and it's like, this is amazing, and if somebody's watching that can help.
We need.
Okay, now you're talking to the people.
Yes.
I love this.
We need introductions to senior communities, people who know things about Medicare. There's new Medicare rules coming out that we can actually get paid for. We have so many older adults that call us and are like, can Medicare pay for this? And that's heartbreaking. So, eventually we want to have a nonprofit arm so that we can have people pay for other people's calls. But yeah, that's the introductions to people who can help us get through Medicare and get approved would be amazing.
Awesome. And are you looking for investors?
Oh, and we are looking for investors.
Okay, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
You forgot that
Thank
part.
you. Because that's another big thing, that I've learned so much now is just the disparity. Black entrepreneurs with venture capital get like 1%. Black women are like 0.2 of that percent. So, it's interesting to see the capital markets and have a different view this time. I'm like, oh, this is it's interesting. So yes.
I love it. All right. So somebody's watching, they want to, learn more about you, want to follow you, connect with you. How can they reach you?
I am at Christian Sold It on all socials, and Happy Talks is at Our Happy Talks, and we're at happytalks.com.
All right. So thanks so much, Christian, for coming through.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And if you watch this episode, right, you should have got so much value out of it. We learned so many things about real estate, about entrepreneurship, about our elders and how we can connect further with them. But guess what? We have another amazing episode coming next week. So I want to make sure you get locked in. Also, make sure you follow Christian on all the platforms and reach out, right? If you got those connections, if you can connect her to someone with senior care facilities.
Yes. Medicare access.
Medicare access, all that. Or you like, hey, you know what? I got $100 million and I'm looking to park somewhere and invest.
Holla at me.
Holla at your girl. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week back on the Traffic Sales and Profit Show.
The Combo, your home for conversations on Black entrepreneurship and wealth. Available on your favorite platforms.